Seeds are generally planted in large beds in shaded nurseries. After sprouting, the seedlings are removed from the seed bed to be planted in individual pots in carefully formulated soils. Planting often takes place during the wet season so that the soil remains moist while the roots become firmly established. It will take approximately 3 to 4 years for the newly planted coffee trees to bear fruit. It turns bright deep red when it is ripe and ready to be harvested. There is one major harvest a year. Sometimes they are selectively picked, but this is less common. Only the ripe cherries are harvested, and they were picked individually by hand. Pickers rotate among the trees every 8 to 10 days, choosing only the cherries which are at the peak of ripeness. Coffee will sometimes be strip-picked by a machine. On average, a picker approximately picks up to 100 to 200 pounds of coffee cherries each day, which will produce 20 to 40 pounds of coffee beans. Originally developed in Africa as an understory crop beneath diverse shade trees that provided habitat for wildlife such as birds, butterflies, insects, and animals. U.S. Agency for International Development and other groups gave $80 million for plantations in Central America to replace traditional shade-grown farming techniques with sun cultivation and techniques in order to increase yields. The result was destruction of vast forests, sun-cultivated coffee, and it involves the cutting down of trees, monocropping, and the input of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. This led to pesticide pollution, deforestation, and the extinction of songbirds through the habitat destruction. Soil and water sources continue to be severely degraded by many coffee farms as coffee pulp is dumped often into the streams. Workers are also at risk of drinking contaminated water and being poisoned by pesticides. Coffee beans are sensitive to moisture and are usually shipped in woven bags made from natural fiber, which allows free circulation of air. Coffee is covered by an international coffee agreement. Almost all producing countries together with the major consuming countries are members. Coffee grows in around 80 countries in South and Central America, the Caribbean, Africa, and Asia. Arabica coffee accounts for about 3/4 of coffee cultivated worldwide. It is grown throughout Latin America, Central and East Africa, India, and to some extent Indonesia. Brazil is the largest coffee exporting nation, but Vietnam tripled its exports between 1995 and 1999 and became a major producer of Robusta coffee beans. Indonesia is the third largest exporter and the largest producer of washed Arabica coffee. Family farmers usually bring in cash income of $500 to $1,000 a year for their coffee. Conditions for coffee workers on large plantations varies widely, but most are paid the equivalent to sweatshop wages and toil under bad working conditions. Guatemala coffee pickers have to pick up to 100-pound quota in order to get the minimum wage of less than $3 a day. Because of this minimal pay, many coffee workers bring their children to help them in the fields in order to pick their daily quota. NGO television in San Francisco revealed children as young as 6 or 8 years old work in the fields. Workers sleep in temporary shelters with rows of bunk beds. Many times they cook, wash, and bathe from the same water source. Only 13% of coffee workers have completed their primary education. Most were not provided with legally mandated adequate health care. The implications are It can cause insomnia, nervousness, and restlessness, stomach upset, nausea, vomiting, and an increased heart and breathing rate. Benefits are protecting against type 2 diabetes, Parkinson's disease, liver cancer, and promoting a healthy heart. Coffee is the world's second most valuable traded commodity behind only petroleum. There are approximately 25 million farmers and coffee workers in over 50 countries involved in producing coffee around the world. The way I see coffee consumed most often is through, of course, drinking coffee ice cream, and then, of course, all the things like frappuccinos and other Starbucks drinks.